Luke, chapter 6. And it came to pass on a Sabbath, as he is going through the grainfields, that his disciples were plucking the ears and were eating, rubbing with the hands. And certain of the Pharisees said to them, Why do you do that which is not lawful to do on the Sabbaths? And Jesus answering said to them, Did you not read even this that David did when he hungered, himself and those who are with him? How he went into the house of God, and took the bread of the presence, and ate, and gave also to those with him, which is not lawful to eat, except only to the priests. And he said to them, The Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. And it came to pass also on another Sabbath, that he goes into the synagogue and teaches. And there was a man, and his right hand was withered. And the scribes and the Pharisees were watching him, if on the Sabbath he will heal, that they might find an accusation against him. And he himself had known their reasonings, and said to the man having the withered hand, Rise, and stand in the midst. And he, having risen, stood. Then Jesus said to them, I will question you something. Is it lawful on the Sabbaths to do good or to do evil, to save life or to kill? And having looked around on them all, he said to the man, Stretch forth your hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored, whole as the other. And they were filled with madness, and were speaking with one another what they might do to Jesus. And it came to pass in those days, he went forth to the mountain to pray, and was passing the night in prayer of God. And when it became day, he called near his disciples, also having chosen 12 from them, whom he also named apostles: Simon, who he also named Peter, and his brother Andrew, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zealot, Judas of James, and Judas Iscariot, who also became betrayer. And having come down with them, he stood on a level spot, and a crowd of his disciples, and a great multitude of the people from all Judea and Jerusalem, and the seacoast of Tyre and Sidon, who came to hear him, and to be healed of their diseases, gathered. And those harassed by unclean spirits also gathered, and were healed. And all the multitude were seeking to touch him, because power was going forth from him, and he was healing all. And he, having lifted up his eyes to his disciples, said, Blessed the poor, because yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed those hungering now, because you will be filled. Blessed those weeping now, because you will laugh. Blessed are you when men will hate you, and when they will separate you, and will reproach, and will cast forth your name as evil, for the Son of Man's sake. Rejoice in that day, and leap, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For according to these things were their fathers doing to the prophets. But woe to you, the rich, because you have gotten your comfort. Woe to you who have been filled, because you will hunger. Woe to you who are laughing now, because you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men will speak well of you, for according to these things were their fathers doing to false prophets. But I say to you who are hearing, love your enemies, do good to those hating you, bless those cursing you, pray for those maligning you, and to him striking you on the cheek, give also the other. And from him taking away from you the mantle, also the coat you may not keep back. And to everyone who is asking of you, be giving. And from him who is taking away your goods, do not be asking again. And as you wish that men may do to you, do also to them in like manner. And if you love those loving you, what grace is it to you? For also the sinful love those loving them. And if you do good to those doing good to you, what grace is it to you? For also the sinful do the same. And if you lend to those on whom you hope to receive back, What grace is it to you? For also the sinful lend to sinners, that they may receive again as much. But love your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Highest, because He is kind to the ungracious and evil. Be therefore merciful, as also your Father is merciful. And do not judge, and you may not be judged. Do not condemn, and you may not be condemned. Release, and you will be released. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed and shaken, and running over, they will give into your bosom. For with that measure with which you measure, it will be measured to you again. And he spoke in allegory to them. Is blind able to lead blind? Will they not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above his teacher, but everyone perfected will be as his teacher. And why do you behold the speck that is in your brother's eye, and do not consider the beam that is in your own eye? Or how are you able to say to your brother, Brother, permit I may take out the speck that is in your eye, yourself not beholding the beam in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the beam out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take out the speck that is in your brother's eye. For there is not a good tree making bad fruit, nor a bad tree making good fruit. For each tree is known from its own fruit. For they do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they crop a grape from a bramble. The good man, out of the good measure of his heart, brings forth that which is good. And the evil man, out of the evil treasure of his heart, brings forth that which is evil. For out of the abounding of the heart his mouth speaks. And why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say? Everyone who is coming to me, and is hearing my words, and is doing them, I will show you to whom he is like. He is like to a man building a house, who dug and deepened, and laid a foundation on the rock. And a flood having come, the stream broke forth on that house, and was not able to shake it, for it had been founded on the rock. And he, having heard, and did not, is like to a man having built a house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream broke forth, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house became great.